Hello and welcome to the Radiate Fitness Podcast with me, your host, Amanda Reedy, mum of two, personal trainer, nutrition and weight management advisor, PE teacher and lifelong happiness advocate. This is a podcast for you, the busy mum, where we'll talk about ways to prioritise your own fitness, health and happiness, because if you feel great, you thrive, and so does your family. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the Radiate Fitness Podcast. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for coming back, or if you're a new listener, welcome. So the Radiate Fitness Podcast is where I talk about a whole load of different health, fitness and happiness related ideas to help busy mums maintain and sustain a healthy and happy life. Because if you can do that, then you can thrive, and that's better for everybody around you. So in today's episode, this is the second episode in the podcast, so I will be talking about the 5 pillars that I work with and by in my life and in my role as a personal trainer with Radiate Fitness. So I mentioned it last time, but I've always felt so strongly about the importance of exercise and its relationship with mental health. And I think this is so important as a mum, because sometimes when you have had those days when your children are just shouting at each other, or they're tired, you're tired, the energy levels are all over the place, we need to really try and control our own emotions so that we are not giving out to our kids in a way that they kind of give out to us, because they're only small and can't necessarily regulate their emotions. And also sometimes as an adult, I know for myself, I sometimes find it hard to regulate my emotions too. So one way that I use to cope is always through exercising. So for me, when I'm not feeling quite right mentally, if I'm feeling sad about something, those days where you just feel a bit kind of off kilter, you feel a little bit down, or you feel overwhelmed by the amount of admin or the 10,000 WhatsApp messages which you get on the school WhatsApp group, or you're feeling frustrated by something, like you put all the washing out, it's taking you ages, it starts raining, you think, oh no, do I get it back in, is it going to chuck it down, the day-to-day things that happen, the anxiety that can build up, the stress from all of these things. The way that I often cope is through exercising. So sometimes I do this as a kind of preventative measure. So I will get up before everybody else in my house and I will do some kind of exercise. I'll talk about that more in another episode. But I find that this really does set me up for the day, energizes me. It makes me feel that I have had a little bit of time for myself. I've worked my body and I feel good. It just makes me feel great. It wakes me up and I feel ready for my day. But also, if I am feeling stressed or sad or something has bothered me in some way, then I often will do some kind of movement to try and get myself back on track again. And this can be something really basic, like just going outside for a walk around the block, or I might go out for a run. I'm lucky enough to live quite close to the canal, which I love running along, or taking the dog out for a walk along, because there's always something interesting to look at, whether it's one of the birds, whether it's, my dog is crazy. I've got this Sprocker, which is part Springer, part Cocker Spaniel, called Polly. She is just a huge bundle of energy, and this dog is hilarious, as she literally will run at the canal and launch herself in, land with a massive belly flop into the water, whether it is 30-degree heat outside, or the other day when we went out it was 3 degrees in the morning, she still launched herself in the canal, and then she swims along it as though she's swimming the channel. It is a sight to behold. But getting outside with her can really change the mood. It doesn't even have to be something outside. It can be something simple like a 10-minute yoga practice, or kind of just going and doing, 10 minutes of a HIIT workout, or 10 minutes of just even stillness, taking that time to just be on your own and breathing. It really can help and act as kind of a small escape from a tricky situation. And once I've done it, once I've taken that time to try and take myself away and move I just feel so much better. It does the world of good, and it kind of gives my mind a bit of a reset, especially for my mood. I understand that this is sometimes impractical, and if like you're feeling bad or sad or overwhelmed or stressed, you can't always immediately be like, right, I'm going out, I'm going to go and do a run or whatever it is. But if at some point you can fit it into your day, whether it's in a lunch break, a coffee break, just like even on the school run, if you just like leave 5 minutes earlier and like do an extra 5 minutes walk to the school gate, something like that, it can act as this magic reset for your mood. And I really believe it is so important to do that. Mind, the mental health charity, and also the NHS both explain how exercise can boost our mental health and how important it is to help release those feel-good chemicals in the brain, such as endorphins and serotonin, which can really help boost our mood, reduce anxiety, improve our confidence, as well as when exercising. Obviously, it's helping to keep our bodies healthy. It's keeping our heart and our lungs and our muscles and our organs all working effectively, which is crucial for us to feel good. And then obviously all of that really helps our brain as it boosts our mood and makes us feel great too. So I know that it is like really important to do that, and I really just urge you, if you're having one of those days, get yourself outside or just go and sit somewhere, walk around the garden for 5 minutes. It can make such a big difference. The thing is, as a mum, we know that sometimes things are like super lovely and you can have the best days, and those are the kind of like the days when you feel in that flow state that I spoke about last time. However, the challenges of being a mother and parenting are so frustrating sometimes. And some days it's like you just don't know where these problems have come from. It could just be at dinner time when all of a sudden your child, who ate a whole bowl of carrots the day before, gives out and has a massive tantrum for the fact that you cut your carrots the wrong way, causes a dramatic dinner time argument. I mean, where does this even come from sometimes, and how does it come? And you just like, I know, I'm sometimes stood there in like disbelief of like, this was fine yesterday, why is it not fine today? It's unbelievable. Another thing I had recently was my daughter. We were on the way to school. She realised she forgot her gloves. Didn't have her gloves. It wasn't a particularly cold day. Didn't really need them. But that was it. The world had ended. It had imploded. She stopped moving. She would not carry on the journey to school. We had a little bit of a discussion about this. It was quite heated for a while. Eventually I got her to school and agreed that I would potentially drop the gloves off later. But it just was like crazy. Like, these things come out of nowhere for our small children, and even big children. I know teenagers can feel just as kind of like finding different situations tricky, and like navigating those hormones is another kettle of fish altogether. But sometimes it's so hard to realise what happened, how things went wrong so quickly, and why they did. So being able to be mentally strong and kind of coping in these situations through small changes to our lifestyle to kind of help us feel in control of those changes, which we know will happen at some point when our children get upset over something. We don't know why and you can't do much about it. But if we can maintain a calmness and a sense of kind of like impartiality to try and get things moving again, it just makes us feel so much better. Sometimes I do think that it would be so great if we could respond to them in the same way that they respond to us. Like, it reminds me, I'm sure I've seen some kind of comedy sketch where there's a child in a trolley at a supermarket having a massive tantrum, and then the mother just like lies on the floor and starts screaming and shouting, and the kid is so shocked by what they see that they just stop immediately their tantrum, and then everyone goes about their day as though nothing had happened. I mean, imagine if that was normal practice, but it's just not, probably for the best. But the idea is that if we can help ourselves maintain a kind of sense of demure, maybe is a good word to use, in these situations, then we are able to kind of help them understand better how their emotions are treating them at that moment in time, and we can be better and all the better for it. So this idea of like mental health and physical health are all interrelated. The World Health Organization defines health as a state of complete physical, mental and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So to be in good health and to have good well-being and good mental health, we need to have a good balance across several different areas. So firstly, it's suggested that if we can be strong physically, that's having good nutrition and our physical fitness is of a decent level, then this is really going to help us feel healthy and feel good. We need to be able to have a good sense of balance emotionally to be able to cope with the demands placed upon us in everyday life, whether that's at work, whether that's at home, whether that's with friends, family, but we need to be able to try and cope emotionally. And there's a real thing at schools at the moment where even like little children, like my son's just gone into year 1, but I know that they talk about their feelings quite a lot and emotions and how to deal with them, and I love it. They've got this worry monster where if they're worried they can write down their worry or get an adult to help them, obviously, because 4 and 5 their writing isn't great. You put it in the worry monster and it helps them to understand kind of the feelings behind it. But we need to understand our emotions too, and sometimes that's so hard. Like quite often, as I've said before, I can be a bit fraught at times, but I am really trying hard to navigate my own emotions so that I can help my children to navigate theirs too. Other areas where we kind of need to try and maintain good relationships is socially, whether that's communicating with others, relating with others and engaging with others, and that we really need to do this. Human beings are by nature social creatures, so the effects of COVID I think are still quite far reaching, because it's quite difficult at times to want to be social. I mean, since COVID, I'm sure, I don't know whether it might also be my age and time of life and what's going on, but I just don't go out so much as I did. And sometimes social situations do feel quite tricky, but I find that once you go out and you see your friends and you do make that effort and you end up having such a nice time and be able to really relate to others, and you find out you're not alone. Everybody's feeling similar things, going through the same situations. And sometimes that whole problem shared is problem halved can really, really help. So being able to kind of like be a social being and embracing that, it can be quite scary depending on your personality type, especially if you're introverted or extroverted, but actually it's so worth it and it's really important. Other areas that we can kind of address in order to help us to thrive and improve our well-being is intellectually, so using and expanding our knowledge and skills, so learning something new. And it doesn't have to be like a whole new language, or it doesn't have to be like a whole kind of like new career change or something like that, but learning a new recipe and cooking it at home with your children maybe, or just kind of like picking up some interesting facts that you never knew about, or just reading, taking that 5 minutes to read a book. I mean, I couldn't even tell you the last time I read a book. Thank goodness for audio books, otherwise I don't think I'd get anything like that at all. But it's things like that can really make us feel like that we've achieved something. So trying something new is so good for us. We also have to have a good balance economically, so being able to meet the basic needs for ourselves and our family and feel secure is so important. And I know that can be a real sense of stress and worry for lots of people, especially at the moment, because the economic situation in the country isn't brilliant, and I know that people are really feeling it, especially with prices going up. But we need to really kind of like think about how that can be addressed. That's not within the remit of this podcast, but it's just something to think about. And then finally, the final area that it suggests can help us have a good sense of balance of our well-being is spiritually, and how we experience and integrate meaning and purpose into our lives. So again, it's beyond my remit here to talk about religion or spirituality or anything like that particularly, but it is within these pillars which is suggested by the World Health Organization, which kind of helps to define how we have like a good source of well-being excuse me, and health across everything. So the way that we believe and see our well-being can be as positive and negative, and depending on how we cope within these 6 areas, we can start to think about how this reflects and helps us fulfill our own personal and social goals. It allows us to have a sense of purpose in society, and it really, really does help our mental well-being to be enhanced. So I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that we should all go away, research all of these things, sit down, make lists and come up with plans to ensure that intellectually we are doing this or spiritually we're doing this. But if we feel that we have a sense of purpose in society, if we feel that we are prioritising some of these things for ourselves, it really, really can help you feel better. It can improve your health, it can improve your happiness, and it can really make you thrive in your environment. And that is exactly what I hope to enable you to do. So for me, I took into account these ideas, these key areas which are meant to enhance our well-being, and I feel that there are 4 key things which we can look at and we can improve easily and sustainably to improve our health and our happiness. So for me, it's looking at habits. So habits are the regular things that we do which are ingrained in our lives. Most habits you do automatically, you don't even think about them, they are subconscious. But you can change habits, you can make new ones, you can make better ones, because we all know that there are habits which maybe we do which aren't so great. I know sometimes I am terrible at, if my children have left a few little bits of their dinner on their plate and I fancy an extra couple of chips or something similar, I will probably have those chips. Or even the vegetables, I do love an extra vegetable. But things like that, I don't need to do that. That is a habit I really need to kind of stop doing. But sometimes we do it. The next one for me is nutrition. So as I said, talking about chips, what we put into our bodies is so important. But again, we can make sure that we do our best there. And so I'm going to talk about ideas and ways to help us eat healthily or more healthily, and try to kind of like get a balance, which is so important, because at the end of the day, we get one life. You need balance. We need to have fun. It needs to be enjoyable. We need to make it the best we can be. And there are ways to do that with nutrition. Physical activity, I've talked about a lot and I will continue to talk about, because I am such a passionate advocate for it and how it makes you feel. And yes, it is important to maintain a level of health within our bodies and help our muscles be strong, our heart be healthy, our bones be healthy, and our lungs work effectively. But for me, as I said before, it is also as much about the mental side and how it makes you feel. I think it was Maya Angelou that said, people forget what you say, but it's how they make you feel. I've butchered that quote, but you get what I mean. If you feel great, you know you can do great things. You know you can take on the world. And for me, exercise is one of those things that really helps there. And lastly, social connections. So the more that we can connect with people, and it doesn't have to be a big thing. It could just be a smile as you're walking past someone in the morning, or a little wave to say thank you for when somebody stops in their car to let you go. Anything like that. As well as obviously meeting up with friends and actually having those genuine social connections. It's so important, and there are all things that we can do there to try and enhance this. So it really, really is important to think about these things and think about how they can make you happy, because for me, happiness is important. It is one of the most important things that we can do. If we feel happy, happiness spreads to other people, and when you go home from work of an evening, you want to go home to a happy house, to see your children happy, thriving, to see your partner and to find out about their day and to give positivity. My children at the moment love a TV show called Grizzy and the Lemmings. It is absolute chaos. But my daughter talks about the Lemmings and how they are all about fun. That's all they want every day, fun. And so my kids embody this idea of fun. And it is quite chaotic, but I'm trying to embrace the fun. Because actually, why not? It makes them happy. And actually, when they laugh about it, it makes me feel happy too. So I want to give you something to think about. I want you to think about what makes you happy. What are the big things that make you happy? What are the small things that make you happy? Is it any particular hobbies? Is it the people you hang out with? Is it some of the things you do, places you go, what you see when you go outside? What are they? And can you do more of these things in your daily life to increase your levels of happiness? It is making small changes within each of these areas, whether it's nutrition, taking part in physical activity, social interactions, changing small habits that make us healthier and happier and able to cope with the demands of life much better. So it is important to find out what these happy things are, what makes you happy, what is your happy, and to try and do more of them in a sustainable way, which is not overwhelming, and really make your life the best it can be. So each week I will be coming up with some suggestions of how you can make small changes to make you and help you feel healthier and happier. Because when you make small changes, you might not think they're significant, but lots of little small steps can add up to a big journey and a big adventure. So why not try? I think it makes it exciting. So I really hope that this podcast inspires you to take small steps to improve your health and happiness and to live the life that you want to live. So as I said, this week I'm going to set you a challenge. My challenge is for you to think about the following. If you could wave a magic wand, what health and happiness goals would you want to achieve? For me, I think I mentioned this last week, it would be, I've kind of got two. It would be firstly to be able to pick my kids up, literally lift them up when they are still 19 years old and weigh an absolute ton. If I am strong enough to do that, I would be delighted because firstly, it would just be amazing. I would feel like an absolute boss. But also, you know, as a parent, it's quite fun to like try and embarrass your kids a little bit. Can you imagine the face of my 19-year-old boy when I'm picking him up, when he comes home from wherever he's been, uni, work, I don't know, sport, and he's like, Mum, put me down, it's so embarrassing. That would be immense. But it's those kind of things. So it's really, really important to me that I can do things like that for as long as I am. As long as I can. I want to be super strong. And someone mentioned to me the other day, they said, do you remember the last time that your parents picked you up, like physically picked you up? I was like, oh my goodness, that really hit a chord with me because I don't remember that, and maybe I shouldn't remember that, but I was like, my goodness, that happened. And maybe right now my parents are like in their 70s, and if they could still pick me up, well, I would be super impressed. So life goals, hey. Secondly, as I think I also mentioned last time, I want to be around as long as possible for my children, but in a really healthy way. I want to see my kids get older. I want to see their futures. I want to see their kids, their dreams, whatever and wherever life takes them. And I want to be there as long as I possibly can. And also to have adventures with my husband, to go travelling, to go and see amazing places. And so for me, it is about health span as well as lifespan. Health span is this idea of like how healthy you are in your life and how long that level of health maintains you to live a good life where you're not kind of like ill or frail or anything like that. So I'm really like keen to make sure that I put the building blocks in place now so that that can continue. So this is really why I try and live my life in the way that helps me to live as well and as long as possible, with balance, but also with fun along the way. So I don't agree with everything being so serious and monitored. If we followed all the pieces of advice that people give out there, life would be so dull, it would be so boring. And life is not about that. It's about making it as good as it can be. So, as I said, I leave you with this. If you could wave a magic wand, what health and happiness goals would you want to achieve? Please let me know. You can DM me on Instagram at Radiate Fitness UK or email me, amanda@radiatefitness.co.uk. I would love to know what ideas you come up with. And I will share some goals that people suggest to me next time. So thanks so much for listening. I hope you have an amazing week.